I would like to welcome to the show Dr. Lisa Taylor. She is with the Florida Museum, and they have a new exhibit called Spiders Alive. Lucky me, I get to do this segment. So I see you have a lot of different species here, and some of them are native to Florida. I feel like everything lives in Florida. But do you want to start out with that one that you have there?
Yeah, so this is Rosie. She's a Chilean rose-hair tarantula. We don't have native tarantulas in Florida. This is just a species that is kind of cool and charismatic and might allow people to get a close-up look and just kind of see what a spider looks like. So this is a tarantula, so they don't have great vision. They have really tiny eyes. They're very hairy. A lot of people wonder why spiders are so hairy. One of the reasons are because these are all sensory hairs, so this spider can feel this as I'm touching her. They also use these hairs to pick up vibrations and chemicals. So that's just part of their sensory system. That's why spiders are hairy.
And when you talk about spiders, what purpose do they actually serve? You know, like out there in nature, bees. Pollen, mosquitoes, nothing whatsoever. But what about spiders? What do they do for us?
Yeah, so spiders are amazing predators. So they eat almost anything that moves that's smaller than them, sometimes things that are bigger than them. So for most of the spiders that they'll encounter in Florida are smaller, like these guys, little spiders like this. And so they eat flies, mosquitoes, garden pests, agricultural pests, all sorts of things that we want less of.
So do spiders get a bad rap? They're kind of the good guys?
Yeah, they are definitely the good guys. They definitely get blamed for a lot of things. People just think they're creepy. But hopefully with this exhibit, if people come check out the exhibit, they'll kind of appreciate them more. They'll appreciate what's interesting about them.
And that's why it's important to have these type of exhibits. Yeah. And sometimes it's a hands-on approach. Sometimes you're just learning from afar. Mm-hmm. And then, so what does a tarantula eat?
So this Rosie eats mostly crickets, but in the wild they eat all sorts of like moths, insects, basically anything that kind of wanders by. So they're mostly just sit and wait predators. So they just kind of hang out. They put a little silk down in front of them so they can sense when things are crawling by, and they'll just kind of go after whatever.
Just like a little jump grab.
By. Yep.
And then, when you look at the mouth, then so how exactly are they attacking their predator, or when they prey?
Yeah. So this, since I can't flip her over to show you her jaws, I'll show you the fangs on this spider. So this is a jumping spider, the tarantula's fangs look a little bit different, but basically they just have kind of these big fangs in front, and they just use them to stab their prey and attack it. They inject a little bit of venom, and that immobilizes it, and then they digest everything externally. So they just kind of put a little bit of liquid in there that kind of digests everything, and then they slurp it up, kind of like a smoothie.
Okay, got that visual in my head. Nice.
Delicious.
And then moving along, we have some that are actually native to Florida. Do you want me to hold that one?
Sure, yeah. Okay. I'll pass Rosie along to you so I can show you some of the other friends that we brought along. Okay, so these are some of my favorite of the jumping spiders. These are super common in everyone's backyard if you live in Florida, and a lot of other parts of the world too. They're pretty small, so we brought along these 3D models also. And so what makes jumping spiders really interesting are these big eyes that they have in front. So like other spiders, jumping spiders are predators, but they use their eyes to find their prey. So a lot of species have color vision. They jump on their prey. You can recognize them moving around because they kind of just hop like this. That's how they get the name jumping spiders. So this is the regal jumping spider, very common in Florida, one of the biggest jumping spiders in the world. And this is the magnolia jumping spider, which people might have seen in their gardens. Also a
Hopefully
adorable face with
big.
those big spiders. No, not that big. So we brought a live one. You probably can't see it very well, but they're about that big.
Yeah, I've seen these before.
Yeah, so these are really common in people's gardens. They, again, eat flies and mosquitoes and baby cockroaches, all sorts of little things that people might not want in their house or their garden.
I feel like the tarantula over here is kind of curling into a ball. Is that cool?
Yeah. Okay. She just she's pretty mellow. She does this a lot, so she's.
I didn't know if that was a preemptive strike type of thing. No. These are what goes through.
She's happy. Yeah. She's just kind of chilling out. And then this is a huntsman spider. So I brought this one along because it's one of the bigger spiders that people might encounter. So this is an introduced species of huntsman spider, but they get to be pretty big.
Yeah, that's good size right there.
Yeah. So this is something, I brought this along because this is something some people might recognize having seen them in their house or either inside or outside. And these spiders move fast. So most of these spiders that I have here don't build webs. They just kind of ambush their prey. The spider is really fast. So if you see one on your wall and you kind of move toward it, it'll run away. It won't run at you. But I think that kind of adds to their creepiness because they're just really fast moving.
Definitely. And then last but definitely not least, I guess you could say maybe it is least because I didn't see anything in there unless it got out.
It's still in there. There's a tiny little spider down here called a spitting spider. And I brought this one along because this is kind of an example of a really tiny spider that you might see in your house. and they're just kind of not so interesting looking, but they're called spitting spiders because they actually spit like a sticky glue at their prey to immobilize it. So I kind of try to capture the diversity of spiders that, people might encounter. And that's what the Spiders Alive exhibit does too. It just kind of like showcases all this amazing diversity.
It's funny as you explain that, because I'm kind of like a grown-up kid. I was thinking of like Spider-Man, because sometimes he'll do that and he'll like shoot the web in someone's eyes or something. So, well, thank you so much for coming out here. Now, if people want to learn more and kind of plan a trip to the Florida Museum, what's the best route? How can they do that?
Yeah, so the museum's open every day. The exhibit's open every day. And it's just kind of an amazing place to learn about spiders. They can go on our website to kind of help plan their trip. And I hope a lot of people will come out and see it. It's really cool.
I think if we learned one thing today, it's that spiders, they're the good guys out there,
Yes,
aren't
they're
they?
definitely the good guys.
Most of them.
Yeah. And if you're not convinced, you should just come see the exhibit, because then you'll learn, people can learn more about what's interesting about spiders and maybe have a little bit more appreciation and less fear.
Well, thanks again for all your time and all your information. We appreciate it.
Sure, thanks. Thanks for having us.
And I made a friend. Look at that. And he didn't bite me. Yay.
Yay.